All right, so that's a charge coming from Africa and China. A very, very beautiful song and evergreen, if you ask me, because it will continue to be relevant when you talk about the social, and economic, and political development of Nigeria. Everyone will find his or herself at leadership positions, either elective or appointive, must make sure that you do everything within your powers to serve the people. That is what we're looking at this morning, how to drive good governance, efficient service delivery, especially as regards infrastructural development. So many infrastructural projects are going on across the state, the length and breadth of Ogun state, whether it is in the central district, or whether it is in the east, or whether it is in the west. The issue or debate oftentimes is whether it is proportional or whether it is equally distributed. But besides that, the issue of infrastructure goes beyond which particular district should get what. The issue of water is one particular challenge in Ogun State. Successive governments have been battling with provision of potable water. Is it peculiar to the state? Is it peculiar to the state capital? What are the challenges? Sometimes when we don't know these challenges, we might not be able to identify with the problem and, of course, find a lasting solution. Another issue is the fact that funding of this project cannot be overemphasized. Without the required funds, you cannot definitely have a headway and, of course, make progress with this infrastructural project. Many times we talk about the fact that if you have to fund a capital project, you have to go borrowing. And now, on the other hand, you have people criticizing the borrowing attitude of government at all levels. The government has oftentimes said that if we have to move forward or compete with Lagos State, for example, then you have to show up. You have to show up, and showing up sometimes will have to be breaking the bank to actually fund this infrastructural project. What is the status of this? How are we willing? How far are we willing to go to make sure that many of these infrastructural projects are completed before the administration actually winds up? The governor has said at different times and at different fora that all the existing projects will be completed before May 29, 2019. Some people say, hey, is that possible? Because they look at the quantum of projects that are ongoing and then they find that hard to believe. Well, so many issues begging for answers this morning. We have the man who can actually take on all these questions and issues, because he's the man who is saddled with the responsibility of supervising the works and infrastructural projects across the state. I'm talking of no one else but architect Olamilekan Adegbite, the Honorable Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure. You're welcome once again to the Daybreak Show, architect.
Thank you so much, Tobi, and good morning to all the listeners at home.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, let's start with the issue of funding. Critics have said we keep borrowing to fund many of this capital project. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, borrowing itself is not a problem. It's what you do with the money you borrow that's actually the issue. It would be totally unwise if you were to borrow to pay salaries, because then money comes out of it. But when you borrow to do infrastructural projects, to do capital projects, which are beneficial, which in turn now becomes a multiplier, for funds that come back to you, then of course the borrowing is justified. Which is the case in this particular situation. Since we came in 2011, we've done a lot of work on infrastructural development and also on the security architecture of the state. This in turn has attracted a lot of investment into the state, which have provided jobs, provided jobs for people, which of course increased the IGR of the people of the state as well. So of course, just based on this, the borrowing is justified because at the end of the day, the state's income is increased, and then it has the ability to pay back what has been borrowed.
Now, when we look at your point or your argument that we can fund capital project with borrowed funds, what is the timeline talking about repaying these loans and the opportunities that these projects can bring when it comes to revenue generation?
Well, I've told you, one of the things we discovered from a study when we came in 2011 was that, especially the state capital, because we found that anybody that wanted to deal with the state government, whether investor, visitor, tourist, whatever, they'll come to the state capital first. And whenever they came here, what they met was not palatable, was not encouraging. Nobody would come to the state capital the way it was. It was a rustic town. It was a sleepy place. I mean, nobody wanted to do business. So one of the things we discovered and realized very early on was that we needed to upgrade infrastructural projects in Ogun State, in the capital. And of course, we embarked on that. And of course, like I said, 4, 5, 6 years down the line, this has proven to be the case. Because now you heard that. I mean, the investors from that just completed. We said in 2016, 70, I think it was 78% of the foreign direct investment that came to Nigeria birthed in the state. I mean, that's not just accidental. Something is responsible for that. This was a state that was a pariah state. In 2011, we went for a conference in America, and when the governor was mounted the rostrum and was saying, Governor of Ogun State, everybody just went, and all that. And the governor promised to them, yes, because there's a document that was out there, which of course is done by these foreign bodies. I mean, they're unbiased. And they placed Ogun State as 35th state in the whole country as the worst place to do business. You can't do business in Ogun State. That's what they ranked us. And it was on that basis that they were judging the governor in 2011. We were in America for a conference. And the governor said, yes, okay, the state has been bad. I've just come on board and I'm promising you, come back to Ogun State, we're going to fix all the problems. And that's what is done. Now, look at the last investors forum we had. Look at the quality of attendance. Look at the people that came for that. That's a testament to what we've done right. And that is what I'm saying. This is essentially, we've improved the infrastructural development in the state. And these are attracted investment. Look at the Flowergate industrial layout. Go to Agbara. It keeps expanding. People keep coming. Why weren't they coming before? The security architecture was very poor in Ogun State. The investment climate was very poor. We were non-friendly. There was multiplicity of charges, contacts, and all that. We established a one-stop shop. People come in, you solve all your problem in one office. You don't have to go from one desk to the other. There's so many things that we did. We improved the infrastructure. We improved the security architecture. And then people are coming. This is a justification for whatever borrowing you've done. So I think without being immodest, I think we can pat ourselves on the back and say, look, we're on the right track.
Now, Honorable Commissioner, you mentioned Agbara, which is gradually becoming an industrial hub, or it has been for some time now. People have complained about the road in that particular area. What is the status? What are you doing?
Well, in Agbara, you take it, don't just take Agbara in isolation. What we did in Agbara was, look, we did Agbara industrial itself. We improved the road infrastructure there. What people might be complaining now is the linkage back into Ogun State. You see, Agbara is more of a satellite city to the Ogun State itself. I mean, we're talking of the capital. Agbara was so located because of its proximity to the border, that's the semi border, I mean, via Badagry, and of course the proximity to Lagos. And if you look at the road infrastructure within Agbara itself, even power infrastructure, it's okay. What we are working on, and I must admit that, is the linkage back into Ogun State. The major road that links Agbara back into Ogun State is the Agbara Road.
Yes.
Which, of course, we are present on that road. We're working on it now. Yes.
Are you financing that road all by yourself, or you are partnering with any private?
No, that road is being financed only by the Ogun State government, 100%. The road you might be talking about, being done by PPP, is what we call Lusada Egbesa. Yes, Lusada Egbesa is being done with as a PPP arrangement. But the main road that goes straight to Agbara, that is from Aton, Lusada, and then goes on to Agbara, is being financed by the state government. And that road work is in progress. I got a progress report yesterday on my desk, which I get every Monday on all the projects. And they'll show me pictures of, the bridge we're working on right now at Lusada to his traffic at that point. So, and it's the same case all over the state. But as for Agbara itself, that's why people keep going there. Industrialists keep coming there. Of course, there's gas there, which attracts the industrialists. But then, what have we done there? There was a road we commissioned, I think it was in 2014 or early 2015 within Agbara. It was also a PPP thing. Government encouraged some people, and then, government put down some money, I think 60%, and the contract, some private investor came in 40%. And we're able to do that road. So these are things we keep doing continually, using a hybrid mix of funding, just to make sure that we achieve our goals.
With the heavy presence of heavy-duty vehicles that ply that road, are you not thinking about concrete road on that Agbara Aton road?
Well, you see, heavy vehicles in themselves are not a problem. Because people say heavy vehicles can ply any road. What actually is important is actually what is the soil there like. Even if the soil were to be bad, some clay areas, even your car, the smallest car, will not do well on those roads. Those roads will not last. So, of course, we test every road before we decide what kind of material we're going to use, whether it's a flexible pavement or it's going to be the rigid pavement, which is concrete. So, actually, decisions are taken based on, for instance, in the road we are doing, we call it Songo Ojodu. The first 1 kilometer of that road from under the bridge at Songo, it's concrete, and the rest is in asphalt, because that particular bad portion is very bad. There's no amount of asphalt you put there, it will keep going bad. So of course that is concrete. The first 1 kilometer is concrete, and the rest is about it's a total of about almost 50 kilometer road. The rest is in asphalt. So whenever we come across a very bad portion, whether it's going to be cars or heavy vehicles, of course we'll deal with it.
Okay, let's delve into the light rail project. It was sought to secure a credit facility. What's the status so far for the light rail project? For the light rail project, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Okay, for the light rail project, it was sought to secure a credit facility for that. What's the status?
The light rail project for the state, we were able to secure a line credit from China for that project. It's a project that I was very extremely proud that we're going to start and do. Well, fortunately, in this country, there's a lot of politics and all that. Ogun State is not sovereign. As such, we cannot borrow directly from external bodies without going through the federal government. Let's just say for this forum, I'll say that it's bogged down in politics. We couldn't get the approval necessary to use that fund. So that fund is just there. Maybe subsequent administration in the state will still be able to tap into that and, of course, execute that project. But the government tried its best. We were able to secure that funding. We made our own counterpart funding available, and that's why the job started. The survey has been done. Some houses have been marked for the routes that the rail will take. But unfortunately, the bulk of the sum, which was supposed to come from China, couldn't see the light of the day. So that money remains where it is. It's not borrowed yet. If some subsequent administration comes and want to pick it up, and the climate is favorable, they might still be able to access that fund. And
Okay,
of course,
you talked about houses being marked. That brings me to the next question. Compensation for those whose houses gave way. What has been done so far concerning that?
Well, the path, that is the right of way for the rail, is established. What the law says is that we give a minimum of 90 days notice. and that's why this was done. But the project has not been able to progress further. Even those houses are not demolished. But you see, this gives the owner ample time to make alternative arrangements. And of course, before the houses are demolished, compensations will be paid. But like I said, the project is in abeyance as we speak.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, can you quickly take us? I don't know whether you can. You have enough time to do that, but can you tell us the status of all the ongoing road projects in Ogun State?
Oh, that probably take us to the end of the program.
So that's why I said I know that time is an issue, but in order of priority,
Okay, maybe
can you tell us?
particularly let's start with the 10-lane expressway. Maybe we'll start with that.
That generated a lot of furore. Can you tell us the status of that?
Well, I mean, even within the town itself, you could see the road. That's what you see at the NNPC junction. That is giving you an idea of what the 10 lane would look like. And of course, what we'll decide, because there's the issue of funding, there's the issue of time. We decided to face, and when the governor is speaking that, look, we'll not leave any project unfinished. Of course, it's what he's telling you is that, you see, we've planned all these projects, we've faced them. And even the ones we are unable to complete, we will now move into that phase. The phase that we're currently working on will be completed, and of course, we'll make them usable. That's what it means essentially. We'll not leave a road in a state such that, look, it's not useful to anybody, people can pass on it. Even when we have not completed the whole stretch, the stretch that has been done, the phases that have been done, of course, will become useful. And I think people are already enjoying the bridge at NNPC. Is of course solve the problem at that junction, especially at peak hours in the morning and in the evening, which of course it was meant to solve. So that project is ongoing. The contractors move back towards Kuto. You can see the clearance going on there. What we intend to do before we leave office is to make sure that we take that road from the beginning. That's at MTD all the way. We're looking at the PMB estate to be able to take it there, and of course, subsequent administration will take that road all the way to the interchange.
Okay, so, are you planning to mount another flyover bridge at Kuto roundabout?
Yes, it's part of the plans. I think we have a total of about 5 on that road.
So, 5 bridges.
Yes, on that road. There's one at Shung. There's another one at Kobakbe in the plans. Yes, and I think there's what we call the hammerhead at the MTD junction itself. So I think we have a total of about 5, yeah. And of course, if you count the interchange, there'll be another one there. We're canceling the roundabouts. In the plan, the roundabout will go, and then of course there'll be a simpler way of linking with the yes, that's at the interchange.
Yes.
Shagamu
Okay,
interchange.
Shagamu.
Yes, there'll be a simpler way. It's broken down so that there is no conflict. There'll be a grade separator there as well, but it's not really the typical flyover. So all this has been designed, and of course it's part of the plan. Whoever is coming after us will make the plans there, and then of course it's will left for them to execute
to
as the team
continue.
fits. Yeah.
All right, let's start other routes in Abeokuta quickly. We have Adaton.
We have Enugada Adaton,
Yes.
which of course is ongoing. As of Sunday, even till late in the night, I was there with the governor. We were doing inspection. The bridge at Adedotu, that's near the Zawadi Mosque, is I would say about 75% completed. There are about 7 bridges, 2 major ones, and then of course smaller ones, but the total of about 7 on that road. The road itself is about less than 6 kilometers from Enugada to Adaton. But even as it were, some part of it is already asphalted. If you come from Enugada here, we've asphalted over 1 kilometer of the road, and if coming from Adaton now, we've done asphalting also for maybe about 500 meters and all that. So we're progressing as the job is going on. At those points where we have bridges, of course, as of necessity, they have to be done deliberately and make sure that they're done properly and safe. So they take a longer time. So, but job is ongoing on that road. If you look at Lafenwa Etoro, of course, we started out from Etoro end, which we have completed. We've now started from Lafenwa. A portion of that is already asphalted. If you go there now, they've done asphalting again from That is the Olomori Housing Estate Junction. Backwards towards Lafenwa, we've done asphalting again as of last week. So on that stretch, you could enjoy maybe about 2 kilometers of asphalted road while the job is going on. Look at this road. We call that OGTV Brewery. Work is also going on there. Most of that is completed. Early this year, we've done the asphalting up to the this estate. Kenta Housing Estate is done up there. That job ultimately is going to OGTV. But now you can move from all the way from Brewery at Lafenwa here all the way to OGTV now is fully asphalted. And of course with all those bridges there. And which other road I've not spoken about? You're talking of Ojere to Adaton. Work is also ongoing. We've asked the contractor now to extend work because the job was stopped at Adaton roundabout, which was the initial contract. We've now asked them in our plans, we want to take it all the way to Alabata, the camp junction. We asked the contractor now to take the job up to Ashero High School as a next phase, which of course they are embarking on now. And so on and so forth.
Let's quickly talk about the, or do I call it, the spider-like pedestrian bridges at Pansheke. The idea is very wonderful, very good. It will actually forestall accidents and loss of lives. But the challenge may be enforcement of people using that pedestrian bridge. Are you going to have something like a wire fence along the medians to make sure that people use the pedestrian?
Of course, it's what we've learned from our daily interaction with people. That area was done to decongest. I mean, the roads were so wide at that junction at Pancheke to decongest that area. Even if you go there today, you see about 3 layer deep of taxis parked or buses. But despite that, you still have another 3 lanes for vehicles to pass. In the past, it used to be chaotic at those peak hours, especially when those cabs are picking people up or buses are picking people up. So we've been able to do that junction to ease the traffic problem. But then again come the consequences. Of course, people being hit and all that. We've had some fatalities at that junction. So we came up with these pedestrian bridges. And just like you said, our people, everybody thinks it's not going to be me. I know they keep risking their lives crossing the road at that point. So, of course, if you go there now, you see that there are some sample materials. We don't want to use the wire thing that's being used because it's frail and it doesn't last long. We've gone slightly higher. It's a bit more expensive, but it's a wrought iron steel thing. So we've done samples there. The samples are acceptable, except that the sample you see there now is just about 1 meter high. We think it's a bit too low. So I've asked the engineer in charge to raise that. We're going to go to about 1.5 meter height. That's about 5 feet to prevent people from crossing. And we're going to have that all the way from First Bank to under the bridge. And we're going to do it towards Onikoko as well, and then do it towards Quarry Road, so that anybody coming into that junction will be first to use the pedestrian bridges, and which is for their own safety.
All right, let's go to the east. A lot of complaints have come from the east as regards road project.
Well, in the east, we're also working in the east. Right now, Messrs PW, major contractor in Djibouti, they're working very well. They're working on 2 major roads. That's the road from the express that goes all the way to Ibadan Road Junction. That road is about 80% completed now. It's a total of about 7-8 kilometers, I'm right. And right now, just about 1 kilometer to go. And they've passed the Ibadan garage and they're about to take it to the end. The other road is much longer. That's the road that comes from Ikongba and comes through Lagos garage and goes all the way to, ultimately, that project goes to Italy. But right now, what we've done is that we asked them to start at 2 points. They started from Ilese, and they're doing it backwards from Ilese back towards Djibouti, and they've started from the Kongba end as well, doing it towards Lagos garage. As we speak, about 3 kilometers, the total of that road up to Itele from Ikongba is about 24-25 kilometers. As we speak, up to Itele is 12 kilometers. Out of that 12 kilometers, they've been backed on now. They've done asphalting for over 3 kilometers. And the work is going on there. Those are the 2 major jobs that are in Djibouti. Of course, there are a lot of smaller jobs that we're doing in Djibouti, you know, like Egwuonwu Street and all that. These are just recently awarded. I think there's a network of about 8 roads within Djibouti which is of course has just been awarded, and which of course the contract will move to site very soon as they're funded. In Shagamu, we've done the major roads that comes from the express. We are taking that road in Shagamu now, phase 2 of it. We are taking it all the way to our boundary with Lagos State in Ikorodu, which is just slightly after Ogijo. If you go on that road now, some part of it already is being asphalted. People in that area, when we last visited with the governor, they were very happy that eventually we heeded their call and we are there, and that road is being done. That road is about 20 something kilometers, I can't recall, about 22 kilometers thereabout for that road. That road we've embarked on it's been done in Shagamu. Of course, the original road in Shagamu is completed. People are already using that. Ilishon Agorwoye, which is a road I've had some challenges with. I don't want to go into that with the contractor that was doing that road initially. But when the contractor left, what we did was that we got another contractor there, and there are 3 main bridges on that road. Each one of them now is about 90-95% completed. When those bridges are completed, then we can begin to link the roads in between. And I assure you that before we leave office, that road will also be completed. It's a total of about 26 kilometers all the way from Ilishon to Agorwoye. Of course, in Ijebu-Igbo, we're doing that bridge at the main market there in Ijebu-Igbo to solve the problem of congestion there. We gave a contractor that bridge. Now we've awarded another contract to another contractor to do the road from the bridge in either direction. I think we're doing a total of about 1.5 kilometers of that road in the standard road. That's the road we're doing in Ijebu-Igbo for now. I think that's about our presence in the Ijebu-Igbo, in the east for now. And then if we go to the west, work is going on in different parts of the West Senatorial District as well. The most popular road in the west that I get the request from is the Owode Laro. The contractor is on site now. People they're working on that road, and I think people have come around to attest the fact that yes, we promised and we're eventually there.
Can that road be completed before you
that road will be completed by the grace of God before we leave office. The contractor is there.
How many kilometers is that road?
That road is about I think it's about 22 kilometers. It's a long road, yes. But the contractor has started, and the road will be completed, God willing, because we're funding him very well. So, and I'm sure they're up to the task. They'll finish the road on time before we leave office. Of course, we're still doing the Lusada road that I've told you about. Of course, we're working at Songo. That's the road I've told you. We did some concrete road on that as well. And also, the Ojore bridge is just been awarded to decongest that area. That area can be hellish, and especially at peak hours. So we're decongesting Ojore with a great separator there. The job has been awarded, and the contractor is just waiting for money to move to that side. All those jobs we intend to complete. Of course, we are doing some intervention in that area because one notorious area there is the Lobo on the whole Abeokuta Lagos road. People keep coming in and all that. We've spent so much money on that particular section. I can attest to that in my 7 years in office. We're always going there to do intervention, and we know that the solution to that place actually is to put a permanent solution there. There's the lowest area there. That's why it's always going down. The soil there is very bad. It's clay. So when you put all the stones, after a few months, the clay just sink into the place. What needs to be done there is a major thing. You need to raise that level of that road. You need to put drains there to take the water away into the water body that's further ahead and all that. That's a major project. We've got the federal government interested, and I think some money has been voted. Just some bureaucracy, and then the contractor. But in the interim, just
because the entire stretch of that road is an apology.
It's unfortunate because this is a road that was just completed, and even by a major contractor. But without going into that, all the factors responsible for that, we're pressuring the government to make sure that they come and make amends, and basically they're going to do a major reconstruction of that road. There was a false assumption when that road was being done that look, it's mostly rural and uninhabited. When you do that, which was the same premise which the Lagos Ibadan was done in those days, you don't put drains. But you see, development caught on, and of course when people start coming, all the wastewaters from human activity ends up on the road and of course damage the road. That's what has happened around. If you look at the Bafo and all that, which the government is correcting now, you see that most of the stretches between here and Lagos on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway putting drains to take care of that. Well, that's one thing Ashra cannot stand. Water be stagnant on it. So it's a major thing. We are working all over the state. We are trying our best. Despite these hard times, the governor has insisted we'll pay salaries first, and whatever we can eke out after that, we pour into our projects.
What's the status of this Lafenwaranda Ayutoro Road? You've not talked about it.
Oh, that I think I spoke about that earlier. I said even asphalting has been done recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because some of our callers have called and they've
if you come from, oh yes, yeah, I'm sure if you get calls later, listen, people attest to this. Just this last week, asphalting was done on that road from the Olomore housing junction on that road all the way towards Lafenwa. I think you have a stretch of about 2 kilometers that's asphalted there, and from the Lafenwa junction here, where we just rebuilt the police station, asphalting has also been done on one side for a stretch of about 500 meters there. So the work is in progress. You can see the contractors there; they're fully on ground, and then they are moving at a very fast pace.
All right, let me quickly take you to the issue of water supply. I know that is the Ogun State Water Corporation is under your ministry, under your supervision.
Let me correct that. Sorry, the Water Corporation we coordinate a lot because we come across their pipes, but actually they report to the Ministry of Special Duties, so they're actually under the special. But I can talk about them and all that. Because of, especially within the state capital, because of the renewal of the infrastructure, we've come across them in so many places, and there's been a lot of disruption to their services. Because most of the old pipes now lie in the middle of the road, and which you can't leave them there.
Especially in Abeokuta.
Yes, within Abeokuta itself. So there's a problem. Even in Ijebode, we're having a serious problem now. That road that was completed, there's a major pipe that passed across, which we thought, will be okay, but now the pipe is leaking. And that means you have to remove the road, all the materials at that point, which is means damaging the road, then you have to repair it and all that. So we're not making sure that we're not making that same mistake again. It's a lot of money, and that's why the progress is slow. They are removing all their pipes that lay on in the middle of the road, and they're relocating them to the extremity and all that. And we call a portion their service route, which we are provided in the right of way. But after the drainage, you have the walkway, and then you have the planters. After the planters, you have what we call the service corridor, where they put electrical and all this water infrastructure and all that along that corridor. We provided for them. So basically, and most of the old pipes are Everett pipes, so you can't remove them and reuse them; they get broken. So it's been a lot of money, but the government will constantly release money through the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure to them to replace their pipes. And I must commend the GM of Water Corporation. She's always doing her best to make sure that she bridges whatever is happening, so that there's minimal disruption to supply to our people.
Well, what do you think may be the final and lasting solution to the issue of potable water supply in Abeokuta and environs? Is it continuous laying of pipes? Is it that we might be looking at a mega water works project in clusters, in communities, to serve a particular area?
Well, for instance, if you look at the capital, the planning is adequate and all that. It's just the reticulation that's the issue. Because if you go constantly, I think even prior to our coming to government, the World Bank and there are a lot of foreign bodies that have been involved in improving the water supply in Ogun State and all that, potable water to our people, and they've done a fantastic job. Right now, they are producing adequate potable water at the waterworks. Yes, there. They're producing enough water. The issue now is the distribution, getting the water to individuals and all that. That's been the main issue. And like I said, they're making good progress on that. The infrastructure program that's going on also is affecting the existing lines, and then they're replacing them and all that. But one thing we've also discovered is that our people, you see, because water supply is more or less a social service, but people still need to pay that little token. People don't want to pay anything at all. We're trying to change the orientation of our people that they must pay, because there was something we found out. The first road project that we did when I came to office, that's the Totoro Ibarra Road. It's just about 2.4 kilometers. When that road was being done, of course, we disconnected everybody. They had to relocate their pipes from the middle of the road to the sides and all that. In the interim, to make sure that people don't suffer too much for potable water, we now provided some points where people could go and fetch water, and we supplied water to those points especially. When we finished and all the distribution pipes were in place, we asked people to go back to connect. They didn't want to. People prefer to go and fetch free water at a point, even when it's far from their house. They send their kids to go and until we shut down those points, that people are now being forced to connect. Because I mean, look at the inconvenience. Instead of having water in your house, we say, look, there's a pipe running in front of your house. Just pay the connection fee and connect. Open the time. They will prefer to send their kids to go and fetch at maybe a point about 500 meters away and all that. You know, that's just the human reason. Something they rather do with something that is free than they to pay the token and all that. So that's another issue because from what the World Bank had judged, with the money as expended, the water corporation should be able to make enough money to sustain themselves. But that's not the case. Even as of now, the state government still has to augment their salaries. So they're not even making enough to pay. Those are social loans. Those loans are for longer term, and then the interest is very low. So that's why it's not really so much of a burden on the state. But then, when the World Bank came in for a review, I think it was 2014, 2015, they even made a statement that was funny, that if the GM cannot pay a salary from the salary of water corporation for what she's making, that she should resign and all that. But we know it's not our fault. Our people still need to be properly educated, and that they need to pay for the service.
All right, sir, because of our time, we have to go on a short break now for the national news at 10. After the national news, we'll come back shortly. We'll quickly talk about power, and then we'll throw open the studio lines and start taking the messages and tweets. Architect Olamilekan Adegbite, Honorable Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, will still be in the studio. Stay with us. Alright, you're welcome back. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM, the Citizens Forum segment of the show. We still have in the studio the Honorable Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Architect Olamilekan Adegbite. Keep sending your messages to 32120. Type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. You can also tweet at Rock City FM. That's the Twitter handle. And our Facebook fan page remains Rock City FM 11.9. You can drop your questions or comments on our Facebook fan page. All right.
Okay, before we open the studio lines,
yes,
I have this question. You talked about it before we went on that break. You talked about power. In as much as we are trying to attract investors and we are concentrating on infrastructure, what about power? Power would also attract investors.
Yes.
Sure. So power is important. What efforts are you making to restore that in Ogun State, the state capital?
Well, we've done so much on power, and we realized very early on that we needed to partner with service providers for power. And as we speak now, there's a 10 megawatt power, private power production that is servicing government and government establishments now as we speak. But then, more than that, we identified and went into some sort of agreement with about 16 providers, for different parts of the state, not just the state capital, to provide power from different sources. For instance, the one that's very interesting is the new polytechnic that's been built at Ipokia, which is being supplied by solar power. The contractor has already moved to site on a 5-hectare land. They're already doing their solar farm there, from which they will harvest power. It's something that is scalable. They're starting with 5 megawatts. Even with the 5 megawatts, at the initial stage, the polytechnic will not consume all of that. So they're already going to town within Ipokia itself to sell power to the people there and all that. So we've done so very well on power. That's at those industrial centers, at the the interchange, Egwuonwu interchange. I keep forgetting that name, Flowergate. We've got a power provider there. We've got somebody that's providing power for Shagamu, for Ijebode. We've got power providers for Ota, we've got for Agbara and all that. Most of these people are providing power from gas. Then we've got people that are providing power from waste as well within this 16 people, and it's an ongoing thing. Yeah, people that are still interested are still coming. I spoke with some people just last week. They're also interested in providing power. They want to come in. Even somebody wants to provide power from wind, and they've identified that axis from Shagamu to Wapalanto. They've got some valleys there. They've got good wind. They put some windmill there. They can harvest power from the windmill and then supply and all that. So we're doing so very well on power as well. We've got so many people. What's most important is that government is not getting its hand into the power itself. All these people provide the power and they will sell to end users. So that's what we're doing in this captive generation thing.
All right, we'll give you the opportunity to ask questions and contribute to the discussion this morning. You can call the studio lines 0809-868-7344 and 0909-146-9670. The short code remains 32120. You know the rules. If you're calling, you have to turn on the volume on your radio set, tell us your name, your location, and go straight to the point. You have just 2 minutes to do that, and please don't come up with claims you cannot substantiate. No attack, no insult on personalities. Just go straight to the point. Hello, we have our first caller on the line.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
We
Can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I am okay from Ayotoro.
All right, I'm okay from Ayotoro.
The Honorable Commissioner, sir.
Yes, sir.
I salute you and I actually appreciate your discussion thus far. Yes, sir, this Yewa artist of Ogun State, the Olodo Road is abandoned, nobody is there again. Then the end of last and wire, so what they are to run there is a bridge at Yoga. It's not completed yet. Then the Lara is was not mentioned. I don't know what you can say to this, whether this is completed before the expiration of the tenure.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Chienye.
Good morning.
And good morning, Tobi.
Good morning.
Honorable Commissioner. My name is Ursula Johnson. Yes, Honorable Commissioner, who first and foremost who want to practice excellency and your good also on Aituro Lafenwa Road. That of recent we could say that the asphalt was laid up to Ogun radio and the equipment have been removed. I want you to be very honest with us, those of us living on that road. Are you going to complete that road this year, or we are going to shift it to another time again? That is my question to you. Good morning once again.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Right, we lost that call 0809-868-7344 or 0909-146-9670. Good morning.
Tobi, good morning.
Good morning.
My sister, good morning. My name is Kazim. I'm calling from Abuja. My sister, I give it to you.
Kazim.
I give it to you. The commissioner in the house, if you remember the last time you spent on this studio, you said that 10 lanes from that scooter will be completed before your tenure. But I'm very happy today that you are confessing now that you may not complete most of the projects. Thank you for saying all the truth. Clearly, it cannot be completed. Where did you want to get the money from? So thank you for saying the truth. Secondly, no contractor is there at all. And if you want to put me on, I will take the picture of that place today. I will send it to this studio to show you nobody on that road at all. I was passed there and I know what I'm saying. So tell us the truth. You've been coming out with the truth.
You're talking of Elisha Agowe, right?
But now you be clarifying that it cannot be completed. My advice is, you mentioned something again about the rural area. That you're going to develop the rural area, you're going to open the. Are you still going to open the rural area again? If not, let us know. You start another project. Just complete the one you want to do. And Ojeri Road, another. If you want to put another layer is not completed. You only put one. And so all the other time that you are going to put another one. Are you still going to put it or not? Thank you. Good morning.
All right, thank you, Kazim Otitoloju. Let's take more calls. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Tobi. Morning, architect.
Good morning, sir.
My name is David. You deserve more than a pat in the back, like you said in the beginning. We should applaud your government for great infrastructural development in Ogun State. There are some areas in which I would like you to point some light so that everybody will get it clear. The first one is in the area of concentration of infrastructural development in the capital, Abeokuta. For example, there is only one overhead bridge that is being built in Ilaro. It started in 2012-13. It has not been done. About 6 or 7 have been done in Abeokuta. If you go to Ijebu, you know exactly what you have done there. This is not to take any credit away from this government, but this is to guide against if another governor comes from another side or another zone. Is he going to concentrate on his own zone? That is the first allegation against we have our governor here in Ogun State. Even though me, I'm happy about that. But on even the construction of these infrastructures, it has been noticed that bridges are built, expressways are built, but water supply are cut off. And I'll give you another example here. You have a Agoba Totolo area where you have Agou cut off from water supply. There are other areas including that. Then the most important one that affects the minds of most of us, what is the cost of infrastructural development, especially roads? For example, 1 kilometer. How much is the Ogun State people, not government now, because government for me belongs to the people, paying per kilometer of road? Is it comparative with others in other parts of the state or in other parts of the developing world? Is it part of the cost? To compensate those of you who are in government and architect, I would like to ask you, where is the construction company building your own mansion? Okay. Because there are a lot of rumors going on that they are the one building the mansion for the governor, next one for his brother, another one in front of him for who knows what. All those things need to be clarified. I'm glad that you talked so seriously about Agbara. Congratulations with what is going on there, because there are over 200 different kinds of industries in there. And if Agbara Road is done, you will get more than what you're getting in terms of revenue. That is another good one.
All right, Biodun Baby, begin to wrap up.
Okay, I'm wrapping up now by asking you this. Construction management throughout the state. You just get to one side this one morning and the road is blocked. Communication with road users, even as construction is going on, is very poor. They need to be told that there is a diversion, or this is what and all that. I hope you can advise them and do something about it. On the Ayeto road, on all those roads you have mentioned, I congratulate your government, architect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David Davis.
Biodun Bello.
Oh,
hello.
It's Bello.
Yes. Hello, good morning.
All right, we lost that call. Hello.
How many calls have we taken now? About 5?
Four.
Let's take 4. Okay.
Let's
take 2 more. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. All right, we lost that. A lot of people are trying to get through at the same time. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Tobi, Chienye, and architect.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is Adegbite.
Thank you.
Yes.
I remember one day the governor was passing through Igbo to Agwauba side. And he regretted the deplorable condition of that road. I think he said he had something in mind to do for us at Igbo there. That's one. Number 2, about 2 months ago, we had a big placard painted at Kuto Road. I mean, at Itachi, saying the government is going to
rehabilitate the 4 kilometers road from Itoshi to Ibarra Relay Junction. They did. They tried it for just about 2 kilometers, and then they stopped there. And yet, the rain, the rain we had last week exposed how short the work that has been done. What are you going to do to make living at Okiata happy with the government about our road?
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you,
God
sir.
bless you too. Hello, good morning. Hello. We have you on. Good morning.
Good morning, Chienye.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Mr. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Honorable Commissioner, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You are highly appreciated, please.
Thank you, sir.
And the governor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Your name, please.
Commissioner, my name is Taiwo Anyobode from South Corner area in Jeja Town.
All right.
Commissioner, have you removed your eye from Onyo Dam? This dam was constructed in the early 80s. And the land it was meant to supply, water to Lagos State and even Ogun State. That even to be used to generate power. But this dam is lying fallow there. Hello?
Hello, sir. Can I hear you, sir?
Yes, this dam is lying fallow there. What is your government doing to see that this dam is handed over to Ogun State? Having said that, I don't know why Water Corporation is not able to give water to Ogun State you, at least in some point free for the common people. Water is a provision from God Almighty given to us for free. We don't are spending some money to see that it goes into the reservoir to the claim. But what are you doing? At least at some point, water should be given free to people, common people,
Thank
poor
you, sir.
people.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Tell our young body. We'll just take a pause there. Honorable Commissioner, that's about 6 callers, right?
Yeah, 6 callers.
6 callers.
All right, let's take them before we go to the tweets and messages.
Okay. Mr. MOK from Aito Road, call came first, and you spoke about the some portion of the roads in Aito Road that were uncompleted. Yes, Ayetoro Olodo Road. I think you're right. Ayetoro Olodo Road was never in the original scheme of things. It was on some of these inspections to Ayetoro when the job was being done that the governor decided that, oh, why not we just take that to Olodo as well? That's from Ayetoro Olodo. And the initial mandate was for them to take it to that water body. You see that's how we stopped. Of course, we intend, like I said, it was outside the original contract. We intend to take it all the way to Olodo, albeit as a narrower road. We took the Ogun standard up to the water body. That's the 6 lanes. From the water body, there's a small brook there. From the brook itself, all the way to Olodo will be a normal 2-lane road. That's hopefully will still be done. Is in the plans. And let me just say this. All the plans that have been executed, especially when it comes to works in infrastructure, we've taken along all the people that call the landlord, the civil servants. They are part of the plan, both in conception and the execution. So even those things that we cannot complete, of course, the incoming administration can carry on with the civil servants without any hitch. It will be a seamless transition, and then they can keep doing the work. Of course, you also talk about that bridge. We're going towards the upper part of Aitoro. It's also an extension to the original job, but to be done. Ilaraijo Ilashe. Yes, that's our longest and biggest project in Ogun State. I must say that we're having funding constraints. The job is still ongoing. The contractor is on left side. It may not be proceeding at the same pace that we like, but hopefully we'll be able to take it to an appreciable state before we leave office, and hopefully, like I said, somebody can pick it up from there. So that's as those two are concerned. Mr. Olushola Johnson, Lafenwa around that, he said, are we completing? I've had this before, and he said the contractor is moving. Yes, the job is being done in different phases. If you look properly, you know that the contractor has on left side. Yes, they've done asphalting up to that point, and they've moved their equipment because there is no other place that is ready for asphalting immediately in that area. So they have to move those pavers. That's what they call them. The pavers for the asphalting, they moved it out. But right now, if you see them, they've not left side. They are continuing with the earthworks from that junction where they stopped. They are coming towards Lafenwa. What we asked them to do now is that, see, they've done about 2 kilometers of asphalt from that Olomore side, even beyond Olomore. We've asked them now to ensure that the asphalting is completed all the way from Lafenwa so that you can have a seamless transit when you're coming from Lafenwa all the way to where they stop now. Then they will not come back to that spot and start taking to Rounder. The phase they are working on now will be taken to Rounder very shortly. So they have not left side, they are working. Of course, they are different stage of work now. They are not doing asphalting again. Kasim Oditoloju, he asked about the 10-lane Abeokuta-Shagamu road. Sorry, I can't remember exactly what he asked about that road, but that road is ongoing. It's like I said, even where some people, maybe the way the governor will say it without giving the details, that is why people misread that. The governor does not intend to tell anybody what he's not going to do. What we mean is that, you see, all these jobs have been faced. Even we were unable to. Some of them, of course, we intend to finish them. But the funny constraint that comes once in a while, at some of they're unforeseen. But as we get funds, of course, we proceed with them. But the strategy we've adopted is the fact that, look, let's face it. We don't want a job that, okay, people, even when you leave office, there will be portions that are uncompleted and then to make people more comfortable. No. By the time we are leaving, any phase that we have embarked on will be completed, properly asphalted, and people will be able to use it. You will see that, okay, this portion has been done and this portion has not been done. Even the portion that has not been done, we'll make sure that it's smooth, even in that narrow way, so that people can use them. And that's what we mean. So please get the meanings right when we talk that. Elisha, go away. Well, I don't want to say that you're wrong. Maybe they were not here at the beginning of the program. Because I already spoke about Elisha Agoway. Elisha Agoway, we had issues with the contractor that was there before, some Italian contractors, and they left. But what we did was that we've given another phase of that job. All the bridges on that road have been done now, and they'll be completed. So you may not, yes, you may be right that there's no contractor on the road for now, but there are contractors. There's a particular contractor that's working on the 3 bridges, and they are working there as we speak. So it's not exactly true that there's no, but yes, maybe the road is stopped for now, but they'll finish the bridges and then we'll try and complete the road before we leave. Of course, you spoke about rural roads. Why is not my immediate purview? There's a Ministry of Rural Development. Rural roads are being done on a continuous basis. For instance, sometime in, I think it was last year, early last year, the governor bought graders for all the local governments in Ogun State. We didn't buy like 57 because we now have about some SCDs and local government. But we paired all of them so that there is no SCD or local government that does not have access to a grader which they use to open up rural roads. That is on one level. At another level, which is slightly higher, is the Ministry of Rural Development. And they have programs where they are doing roads and all that. Recently, we went to commission a power generation thing that was done by the federal government in collaboration with the state government at Bamu Bamu. That's somewhere in the east there. I think it's in the Jebu North local government, if I'm right. So the rural roads is a continuous thing. It's being done at different levels. At the ministry level, at the local government level, it's been done. Then Ujiri Adaton, I think you're right. We have not done the second layer. Yes, there's a second layer, which is a protective layer for the road. What we've done is, I say, within the available funds, let's make sure that all the roads are motorable. And then the second layer is like icing on the cake. Then we'll come and put the second layer later before we finish. But I'm sure you will agree that the way the one we've done now, all the way from Yanoloke, all the way to Adaton, Even though it doesn't have second layer, people appreciate that it's a lot better road than what was there before, even before the second layer comes up. So the second layer will come, you're right, but then that road is a much better improvement over what was there before. Mr. Abiodun Bello, you said infrastructural development is concentrated in Abeokuta, and I think I spoke about that. No matter who is in government, the administration in government, the seat of power in Ogun State today is in Abeokuta. And that is where you interact with your investors, with your visitors, with everybody that wants to deal with the government. They must come to Abeokuta. And I'm sure this is a common thing, common balance in business. You know, first impression, of course, lasts forever. If people come to Abeokuta to come and do business with you, even they want to do something in Jebu-Ode or even in Waterside, they want to come and discuss with government. But the way they meet you will inform their opinion, and they might, these people are not worth it. Look at this. How are we going to go? So that is what we are doing. It's not that we're concentrating only on Abeokuta. The capital was so bad that investors are unwilling to come, and we've done a lot of things to improve on that, and that is why this is so. Of course, you spoke about the bridge at Ilaro. I've explained these at different fora. We had issues with Ilaro. It's a very peculiar topography. The bridge at Ilaro, the governor instead that we must do a flyover for them at that junction. And the flyover, most of the flyovers we've done so far, whether Abeokuta, Ijebu-Ode, Shagamu, or anywhere that we've done flyovers, the nominal length is about 500 meters, 600 meters at most. But the bridge in Ilaro, because of the slope, was going to about 1.6 kilometers. It was becoming untenable because as you're coming down, if you are coming from the federal police side and you're coming towards Papalanto, as you're coming down, the road itself was descending steeply. So the bridge will not meet the ground until you go far, far, far. And that cost was becoming unbearable. The bridge was becoming too long. And eventually, while the governor didn't want to go for the underpass, we've had to resolve to that now. And the contractor has been remobilized back to site. Very shortly, they'll be back there. We're going to have a great separator there in Ilaro, but it's going to be an underpass. It will no longer be an overhead pass. So that is the solution to that area, and that is being done. Of course, you spoke about water supply. We're trying our best in terms of water supply. Like I've explained earlier in the program when I was doing studio interview only, the infrastructure development is disrupting the reticulation of water to homes and all that, and we're trying as much as possible to minimize the disruption of water supply to people. But what I can assure you is that they are producing enough water at the waterworks. It's just to get it to people, and they're working on that. Of course, you are talking about the cost of our infrastructure development. What's the length per kilometer? This cost varies, and when we started, we had about, for the Ogun standard lane, 6 lanes, it was about 350 million per kilometer, the cheapest ever in Nigeria. We've said that. We've had issues before where the bridge that we did, the first bridge that was commissioned there, caused a problem for some other states, because the cost of our bridge, which at that time was about 1.5 billion, there was a similar bridge or even smaller bridge that's not as big that costs so much more. We don't want to put anybody in problem or talk about people's cost, but we know that the cost of our infrastructural projects, especially here in Ogun State, is the cheapest all over Nigeria. It can be compared with some bridges that have been done out there. I think you are getting personal. You are saying mention for the governor. Well, the governor is a citizen of Nigeria and is entitled to build what he wants to build. I can assure you that none of our contractors is involved with the governor's mansion. Most of the contractors that are working for us here in Abeokuta are actually Chinese people, and the people that are building are not. So they've got nothing to do with the house that he's building for himself. At Agbara Road, of course, we're working on that. Construction management, communication skills. Thank you for that. I think that's constructive. We'll work on our communication skills with the public. It's because the pace of the work we're doing and the speed. At times, we have to come to these decisions overnight, and then, of course, affects the people. We improve on that. Thank you, Mr. Bello. Alaba John, Igbore Agoba Road. As much as we want to do everything, we are constrained by funds. We'll come to Igbore Agoba Road when it is possible to do so. Itaoshi Bararele Road, okay, as a people. Yes, what we came to do there, it was a direct labor intervention thing, palliative that was done on that road. It was not so much a reconstruction because you are saying it's a shortage job. What we did was to patch that road towards the Bararele. It's not completed, it's an ongoing job. It's a job that's been done by direct labor from the ministry. Mr. Taiwo and your body, you spoke about Onyon Dam. Yes, Onyon Dam is actually vested in Ogun River Basin Development Authority. It doesn't belong to any state. Right now, even Water Corporation in Ogun State, we buy water from Onyon Dam. When the water is low at Rakonga, they pay money to Ogun River Development Basin Authority, and they release water. They sell it. So somebody is controlling Onyon Dam. Yes, there was a turbine that was placed there at, but I think it's now, because that was been done since. I'm not sure that thing can produce anymore. It was been left there for too long. And while somebody would like to give water free to our people, I think the amount that's being charged is just a token. It's a social service. They're charging a social charge. So people should be able to pay to appreciate the water that's been given to them. Of course, water comes free from God. That's the rainwater. But not the water that's been treated and has to be piped and pumped, and there's a lot of cost involved. Thank you, sir. I like Taiwan body.
All right, we have a lot of messages and tweets to battle this morning. I don't know how we're going to go about it. I think the Honorable Commissioner have to be very brief with it, and then we have to squeeze in 2 more calls. Let's start with the calls first. 2 calls, go straight to the point, and then after that, we'll kick off with the messages.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, who's on the line?
Alaji Omito is my name.
All right, thank you for calling. Alaji Omito Gunwa.
Number 1. Honorable Commissioner, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Before you start the construction of the Chienye route, you don't have the plan. Because I'm talking of
Which road?
Agoka,
yes.
that one, because there's whether park or something. After laying the asphalt, there, you continue and cut the road to prepare for the parking. Why is that?
Did you get that?
Not all, the majority of the road you are doing.
It's not clear, sir. Maybe you take that again.
At the Agoka, Enugada.
Yes.
Enugada. I'm asking whether you have a structure, you have a plan. Then before you come.
Okay, do you have a plan before you start?
Any road, before you want to do this is what's going on up there. Or when you continue to come and do what you call the gather something there. Because in that, if it is the plan, I believe the what you call that first will have been planned because we are not cutting the road. And also, in all the roads we are doing, no parking for the taxi to pick roads at all, to pick passenger. That is one. The second one is Olamilekan here. Please, when are you going to help us to come and manage the road? Because
all right, Alaji. Thank you, Alaji.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the last call.
Hello.
Hello, we have you on. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, Tobi. Good morning, the Honorable Commissioner for Work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Adegbite. I'm calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. Mr. Commissioner, I've listened to you very well. I want to give it to your government.
Larry Jaji.
You people have done wonderfully well. Am I on here?
Yes, you are. Please be very brief.
Yeah, you people have done wonderfully well. We have done wonderfully well. We must give it to you. Let us forget about politics or whatever. But, don't you think, Mr. Commissioner, it would have been better if our people could have been empowered, economically, so that they can have 1 or 2 things in their pocket? Just for instance, if I were to be the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Ogun State, I will have called my people in Ogun State. We have the granite boys in Chienye. We have people selling cement. We have, some other artisans, the welders or whatever. Incorporate them into this project. We will make them make 1 or 2 money into their pocket. Even if they are going to construct, let's see to all our ATC leaders, supply granite, supply sand, supplies a lot of them. I'm telling you, that's what we call integrating into economy. We're getting into the economy. You find that a lot of people who want to spend part of this, probably they are going to make in that project and spread it to the whole people in Ogun State.
Good morning, Happy President.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's quickly take some of the messages. Now, Barrister Kishola says, what has happened to the power equipment OGD government boards? And they are lying abandoned at Okimoso. Governor's office. All right, and Arabambi says, please let me remind the Honorable Commissioner that this same OGTV Brewery Road, a claim they are going to complete soon, was claimed to have been completed when the Honorable Commissioner presented a loan request to the National Assembly in 2016. A refund request, to recoup the expenses. So why are you still talking about the same roads now? Because you are aware that the Labour Party took the National Assembly to court in order to prevent Governor Amosun from accessing the 223 billion naira your ministry presented to the National Assembly Committee on Works, chaired by Honorable Mahuta. All right, so that's for the WhatsApp page. Let's go to the tweets. I hope you got the meat of that. Abe Fagumi says, thanks, Honorable Commissioner and the Governor. Well done. Please, we the people of Ijakauke are expecting something from you before you leave office. Ever Blessing says, good morning. The Governor keeps telling us he will not leave any road project unfinished. But what I want to ask is how many months are left for them to finish this project? This is coming from Genius Active, that's the name he's using on Twitter. Nicholas says, please kindly help us ask the esteemed Commissioner for Works, when are we to expect the provision of water in Itaoshi? For more than 2 months, we have been cut off water supply. Yemi Phillips, Honorable Commissioner, why have inner city roads been abandoned by your administration? In Abeokuta here, most of the inner roads have been bad for years. Honorable Commissioner, this may not be under your purview, but why are street lights in Abeokuta only on when we have government functions involving visitors and during festive period? Oluwole Okunowo says, Honorable Commissioner, sir, what is the update on the Egwuonwu bypass? Yemi, once again, I must commend Governor Bikola Amosun on the construction of roads, even if we disagree on cost and focus, that he has done it, and not just to embezzle money. That is commendable. Honorable Commissioner, why are the shops constructed at Omida Etoku still empty? Oluwole Okunawa says, Honorable Commissioner, what is the update on Okemoso Olukosi bypass? Nothing has been heard on it since it was advertised for bidding. All right, that's Oluwole Okunawa once again. Samuel says, do we need to embark on new construction again when there are plenty uncompleted projects? Abiodun Alani says, Honorable Commissioner, is the state government going to construct Onikoko Road, where the new pedestrian bridge is being constructed? Then 2, Yanamochari Road needs speed bumps to slow down motorists who are coming from the Diaba axis. Honorable Commissioner, why not make use of Ogroma or a replica of Ogroma for our local roads, which will enhance human capacities of our engineers? That's Oluwole Okunowo talking about rehabilitation of roads. Samuel, once again, we are very glad to hear from our Commissioner that we should bring the investors to Abeokuta and forget about the other sections of the state. Is it confirmed people's word that our governor is an Abeokuta governor? Okay, that's Samuel. Abiodun, once again, is Ogun State government going to construct the road access at Odeko Corner, the bridge along Adigbe Road? Road breakers is urgently needed. Ismail Oloyede says, opinions are very cheap, only truths are sacred. Anyway, I appreciate Senator Bikola Amosun not just for developing Abeokuta, but for opening up Ogun State and putting the state on the world map as an investment destination, not just in Nigeria, but all over Africa. Sakara Man says, well done, Commissioner for Works. Sir, what is happening to Kuto Ishabo Road since last year? All right. Wow, the time wouldn't permit. Abdurrashid Okela says, Assalamu alaikum, sir. I'm glad you are the guest of the studio today. Basically, I'm sending this to express my sincere appreciation to all the developmental and infrastructural projects put in place by your administration. When I say Governor Amosun has written his name in gold, you are also inclusive, because he only had a dream but became reality with you being the architect in charge of the project. I'm impressed, overwhelmed with the performance of your government. That's Abdul Rashid Okela. I'm just going to pick a random. I'm sorry. Angela Joseph says, good morning, Mr. Commissioner. I give kudos to the state governments for all they have done so far. What is going to happen to other feeder roads that have been marked for rehabilitation, most essentially Elite Road via Jaba? We, the people of Ogun State, love the good work Governor Amosun's administration is doing in our state. Even those who are saying Shetiti Lafeje are the most beneficiaries of these roads and other infrastructure. May Almighty God continue to bless Governor Amosun and his mission to rebuild Ogun State. That's from Abdul Hakim. All right, this one says, I commend the state government for a job well done. Please, my advice to the government is on the pedestrian bridge in Kwasheke. For people to use that bridge maximally, there should be a divider across the busy area to prevent people from crossing the road anyhow. That's Tunji Davis from Jaba. I'm sorry we can't go on. There are more than 30 messages, so I had to pick those up.
I have to be fast to attend to all these questions.
Yes.
King. Alajo Mitogun, Agokada Ton Cotton. Sorry about that. It was part of the plan. The asphalting has to be done first. What we've done, the place where you see where we are cutting, is we're dividing that road, just like you said. We've provided a place for stops. That's taxi rank, buses. You can see that at that junction, the road is about 10 lane wide. But in order for them to do the asphalting, we couldn't put those curbs first. They had to asphalt the whole surface because the curb will become a hindrance for the paver. So once that is done now, we are now cutting that point where they will plant the curbs. So we divide the main road. Somebody that is going will go on the main road, and then of course the other part that the curb is going to cut out will be for stops. The stops you are complaining about. So drivers can stop there to pick up passengers and all that. That's what's been done at. We are not damaging that road. It was part of the plan. Of course, you spoke about Olomore roads. As much as possible, we're trying to touch everywhere. Olomore road is work on it through Goma for so many times. Honorable Larry Jaji, you spoke about economic empowerment. I wish we could do more. People are benefiting from this, maybe in not the same way that you are saying. One, most of these contractors, it's important for you to know that, look, we are getting the best prices possible for this. And as I said, our prices are comparable to anywhere in the world. We have the best prices in Nigeria. I can say that confidently. We meet at the Council of Works on a regular basis. That's with the minister at the helm of the council and all commissioners in the country on that council. We have the best price in the country. With economic empowerment, it's they give our people some of the jobs. But what some people do not realize is that even stones, they have their strengths. And some particular stones are required for this, and some are softer than the other. So a lot of people just think, so if I tell you to go and bring granite for me, that granite may not be suitable for the job I want to do. They need to grade them. So it's a whole gamut. They give our people the ones they can give. Cement, for contractors of that size, they rather buy in bulk because it's also cheaper for them to buy from the company. But at the same time, they still buy cement from our people. So we're doing empowerment, maybe not as much as you would like. The power equipment of OGD, while I don't like talking so much about that, the power people report to my desk. Those equipments are obsolete. Even when they were bought, they were obsolete equipment. The technology belongs to the 60s. The Chinese that made them have discarded them a long time ago. When we came, we tried as much as possible to maintain those equipment. They were too expensive. They were run on diesel. It was just like running a generator. It was not different from just buying a generator and running them. And there are even more efficient generators that you could buy today. Because those equipment, the Chinese are no longer using them. To make it worse, the Chinese have sort of colonized it. All the manual is strictly in Chinese. Nobody to translate them. If there's any problem on those equipment, you have to go back to your original Chinese supplier, who are also, they're always holding us to ransom. The man that supplied those equipment, we've gone back to him and look, okay, take this equipment, the ones that are left, and sell them. Even we give them to you free. The man, of course, nobody will buy those equipment from anybody. They are obsolete. The man, the supplier himself cannot sell them. So that's the problem. Those equipments are there because they cannot be used. The cost of using them will make a mess of everything. Mr. Arabambi, of course, you are talking about OGT Brewery not being complete. Nobody will have told OGT Brewery was completed. All the costs that we submitted to the National Assembly were the cost of our projects, even the ones that are under construction. Of course, we had to give them the contract price. That's what the National Assembly, but they are certain the job done so far. The amount you are talking about, where the jobs have been done up to. Yes, you said you went to National Assembly and to say that they should not pay us. Of course, we have been paid because they found no claim. The federal government sent 4 teams to Ogun State and they found out that we've done the job. The House of Assembly the House of Rep came, the team from House of Rep, a team came from the Senate. A team was set up as a joint which was led by Honorable Amechi, who is the Federal Minister for Transport. He came with his own team. They are certain these jobs were done. They are certain the cost of job done. And of course, the 4th thing was by the minister himself, Babatunde Fashola, who came and also. So when you went on your campaign of calumny, nobody believed you. They just took you for what you are. Abif Agbemi, people of Ijakauke. I'm sure these people of Ijakauke are in the rural development program. Genos, you say you finish all projects. We, like I've said severally this morning, we'll try and finish all the phases we were backed on. Water at Itaoshin. Of course, it's an ongoing process to reconnect everybody that has been disrupted by the infrastructural work going on.
Because of our time, Honorable Commissioner, we can go on and on. We want to apologize because of our time. The time is never enough whenever the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure comes on the program. So many requests, so many messages. But I'm going to pass the requests, the questions and the comments on to the Honorable Commissioner, and then we can get a response from him, or a feedback, so to speak. So you can still get a kind of feedback on Friday on the Open Day segment of the Daybreak Show. Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner, for
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. That's our show this morning. Thank you for being part of it. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.
And my name is Chienye Egwuonwu. Thank you.